I had a client come to me with a sub two. And if you're not familiar with sub twos, essentially the buyer is not buying the property. They're buying the borrower's position on the loan, right? So instead of actually, you buy the property, but then you take over their mortgage payments. You've got a loan at 4% versus paying 7% or 8%. But if you don't have an attorney who understands the nuances, and so this particular client just paid a bunch of money to redeem the loan, and now she has a deed, and the paperwork was horrendous, but she's got a deed and she paid off the person's back mortgage payments, but the foreclosure is still pending. And there was another loan and there was another lien, and you don't have insurance. And like, there's all these things that come up that she wasn't aware of. And so most attorneys, like very conservative attorneys, would be like, don't do that deal, stay away from it. And I'm like, no. I understand the benefit of making a deal like this work. Now, how do we do it so that way both my client, the buyer, is clean and can move forward and make money, and that the seller isn't going to totally have a problem?
Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Real Estate Pros Podcast. I'm your host, Micah Johnson. And today I am joined by Mahmoud, the bow tie attorney from Northern Chicago. And Mahmoud, glad to have you, man.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here. And it's Northern Illinois, Chicago area, but North Chicago kind of works too.
North Chicago. All right. There you go. Well, Florida guy trying to explain it,
Right.
We got a reputation. Well, I'm excited for our show today, man. I think our listeners are really going to take something away from your perspective on real estate, how it's unique. There's a investor portion along with the real estate attorney portion that doesn't give most people the view that you have. So for everyone that doesn't know you yet, tell us a little about who you are, your main focus, and the markets that you operate in.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're a law firm. We represent buyers and sellers and investors and people in distress. So we have different parts of our firm, but I'm an attorney. We are in the Chicagoland area. So we service Chicago and all the collar counties. And I mean, I think the unique part about me is that I'm actually a chemist. So I look at transactions and I look at situations really from a scientific standpoint on how to untangle it and how to put it together. So in a nutshell, I've been an investor. I'm a businessman and I'm an attorney. So that helps me look at things in a different perspective.
So let's dive into that. How long did you do investing in real estate before you took that move into the attorney world? And how's that focus in that world now?
Yeah, absolutely. So I like I said, I was a chemist to begin with, and I was in manufacturing. So I had to deal with the commercial real estate part of it, right, as a owner operator. And then I became a real estate broker. So then I was representing people and buying and selling houses. And I think the time that I'd spent on paying attorneys over my career and the various different things, I realized that there was more to it. Attorneys have this, we are an amazing group, right? Like I don't want to like shit on our own group here, right? But you have to understand the mindset of an attorney, right? So an attorney goes to high school, goes to college, then goes to law school, and then gets a job. And they really are in the legal world, and they really haven't experienced and been
Mm,
in the actual world. They've never been sued. They haven't experienced what it's like to get lawsuits. They haven't experienced how to run a business. So the fact that I've been an entrepreneur, that I've run businesses, I've been in investing, and I'm an attorney gives me an edge to understand more than just the legal aspects of a contract. It understands the practical aspects of how does the law support the business, right? And drive the business
mm,
to make sure the
right.
business can be successful. So
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
you know,
What's
like
a
I can
good
invest
what's a
in
good
this.
example? Yeah, what's a good example that you could share of that you've applied this perspective in what you do now of
Yeah,
how you untangled it to get a good situation?
absolutely. I think what I'll get is I'll get clients that'll bring me deals, and our job is to close the deal. So how do we find a way to make the deal happen? And I'll give you an example. I had a client come to me with a sub two, and if you're not familiar with sub twos, essentially the buyer is not buying the property, they're buying the borrower's position on the loan, right? So
Mm,
simply, the person you're buying property from has a 3% interest rate or 4% interest rate. And so instead of actually, you buy the property, but then you take over their mortgage payment so you don't pay off their mortgage. Well, that's a great thing because now you've got a loan at 4% versus paying 7% or 8% now in the investor world, right? But if
right.
you don't have an attorney who understands all the nuances, how that's applied, understands the impact of a potential foreclosure and how the foreclosure works, whether you're selling it or buying it, you have to understand it. And so I think what happens is real estate investors get super excited with deal frenzy. And so this particular client jumped in and just paid a bunch of money to redeem the loan. And now she has a deed, and the paperwork was horrendous, but she's got a deed and she paid off the person's back mortgage payments, but the foreclosure is still pending. And there was another loan, and there was another lien, and you don't have insurance. And like there's all these things that come up that
Um,
she wasn't aware of. And so most attorneys, like very conservative attorneys, would be like, don't do that deal, stay away from it. And I'm like, no, 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 no. I understand the benefit of making a deal like this work. Now, how do we do it so that way both my client, the buyer, is clean and can move forward and make money, and that the seller isn't going to get totally have a problem? Because, I mean, I don't want to get too much into it, but if the buyer suddenly stops paying on the mortgage, then the seller is now in foreclosure again, but has no control over the property,
mm,
right? So I would say I
right.
think my approach is, how do I look at the total deal? How do I look at it so my client makes money? And there are sometimes I'll look at the deal and be like, bro, let's run these numbers. I had a client last night that I spoke to, and she's in foreclosure. She's trying to figure out how to navigate it. She's got this massive water lien, which we know how to work around in the city of Chicago. And what she ended up, I'm like, listen, let's just run the numbers. Let's, what does this make sense? After you pay the bank, after you pay this off, after you pay me, after you pay the construction cost, what is the value of the property after you're done? And is it worth it?
Mhm.
Um, and so I think there's a lot of attorneys who do this, but I think the majority of lawyers in this space are just give me your contract and I'll run the deal. If it works for you, great. If it doesn't work for you,
Right.
that's your problem. And
Yeah. They
I
wouldn't know
think,
what to look for. And
yeah,
that's what's unique about your perspective is it comes in and plugs in a way where you understand the end game. You know where they're trying to get to, and not so much where it's not your end game. Your end game is get the deal done, right?
Right.
Their end game has a piece to that where if you really understand what they're trying to do because you have experience doing it, you've walked the road. I think it's fascinating that you've been in the shoes of your clients. That's something that's not, like you're saying, it's not that common in the attorney world. And attorneys kind of get bad raps for quote unquote killing deals,
Right.
where the way that you're approaching this is way more, it feels like on offense, in my opinion, for the client than for
Great.
like, as someone who's had to go through it. And if I remember correct, Illinois is an attorney state, correct? Like
That is correct.
every closing happens with an attorney.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency. It's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
So, I mean, they're already going to deal with it anyways, no matter what. So if you find having somebody, I see the value in it heavily.
I
And
appreciate.
yeah, absolutely, man. One, thanks for doing it. Right.
Yeah, I
Like,
look at it and I'm like, this is the most expensive thing you're going to buy. Period. Right?
right.
Like, wouldn't you put someone like, would you have someone operate on your heart or your lungs and ask for the guy that's going to work in the back alley, right? Or the
Right.
cheapest? Give me the cheapest doctor. I want the cheapest doctor. No one's going to do that. And I think in the same situation here, it's not your body, but it is your financial investment. So
Yeah.
not many spend $200,000-$300,000 at a time. So spend the
Right.
money to make sure it's done right. So yeah,
Exactly. I mean, for one side of the party, it's typically their largest financial transaction they'll ever do. And then your investors, they're doing it all the time. And
right.
when you see that, like you said something earlier, like haven't been sued before. What benefit does that have for you being able to deal with that? Because you don't just do transactions, you litigate too, right?
True. That's true. Litigate. We do building code violations and we litigate it. We defend foreclosures, right? So we defend borrowers in foreclosure. We do consumer class actions and consumer actions against banks. So yeah, so the idea of being sued, like, so I've been in foreclosure. Like I've had my house taken from me. I've had my family's house taken from me. I've gone through that experience, right? And so I think it gives two things. One, it gives me an understanding that I know exactly where my client is at. So I understand what their pain points are. And not only do I understand their pain points, you ever hear I don't know if you've been in the AA world, right? Or but
Mm.
there's the story of the guy who falls down the hole. I don't know if you've heard that story, but the guy falls
Uh,
down the hole and he looks up through the hole and he's like, how the hell do I get out? And the police officer shows up. He's like, hey, officer, can you help me? He's like, well, let me see. I got to call backup. Let me do this. And so then the officer leaves and the guy's still down there. And then the fireman comes. The fireman's like, oh, I got to get the engine and I got to get this and I got to get that. And I'll be right back. And so the guy's still in the hole. Then the priest shows up. And the priest is like, oh, God bless you, my son. May you go through. And he throws him a prayer down to the thing and then walks away. And the guy's like, what? WTF, right? But then his friend shows up and his friend sees him and he goes, oh, and then he jumps in with him. And he's like, what are you doing? Now we're both in this hole. And the friend looks at him and goes, I know, I've been down this hole before. I know the way out. And that is exactly how we've operated our firm. We've been down this
wow.
hole and we know the way out. So, but
And it's true because what you're talking about, and you've experienced it yourself and have been in real estate and dealt with these types of sellers before, especially in real estate investing, is you're talking to somebody who's going through a hard time. Life isn't exactly easy at that moment. You're not talking about their most favorite subject. Typically investors give up on marketing on those properties way before they should because the person just isn't emotionally ready to have the conversation. It's the
that's the
most
developed
embarrassing
anxiety.
thing.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
Yeah, it's like the most embarrassing thing for them, that what they're walking through, and any ability to maintain your humanity while in it, and then knowing the way out, because that's what all of us are after, right? We
Right.
were talking a little bit about masterminds before we started recording, where if you know someone who knows, you're good. You're
Mm-hmm.
you're good. That's what gets, like, that's it. That's how humans work together. None of us know it all. We all know our little piece. And if
Correct.
we can just connect in the way where, okay, I got you for here and you for here, me for here, we're good. Here we go. Let's
Yeah,
do this.
absolutely. Yeah, no, definitely. Knowing someone who knows what they're doing is critical. And we were talking about that earlier, that you have these master gurus that get up there and they start talking about all the great things that they do and have done, but you don't realize they make their money from selling you their tickets and selling you their programs, right? Versus actually what they're
Right.
teaching. And then you listen to what they're teaching, you're like, that doesn't make sense. Your costs are totally off. Your numbers are totally off. What are you talking about? And I'm not saying they're all wrong. I'm saying is they're missing pieces, right? Um,
Exactly.
and
They're
that's how
sharing
to
the way it works for them. And
correct.
that's what a lot of people in real estate struggle with, is real estate's a huge term and there's a lot of ways to do it. And
Absolutely.
typically, keeping yourself exposed to it for longer, you will find the way that you enjoy doing it. Having coached people in the space before, you don't normally find the one you really love out of the gate. That's
Right.
that's that's not
Right.
necessarily the case, where you're just doing that one. And I watched a lot where just investors naturally grow in the asset classes. A lot of folks start in single family, then a few years in, they sell that portfolio off, use all that money to get into bigger asset classes, because they just start to realize, like, oh, that's not the part I like so much, where some people
Right.
stay it forever. Like, it's, again, just keeping yourself plugged into it, exposed, and then knowing people who know, that's what gets your mind open to it. Like,
Being
wait,
in a
I didn't even
community.
know that was an option,
Oh
right?
yeah,
I'm
being in
sure.
a community. Totally. I mean, knowing people who know things and have done things differently and interacting. Like you and I were talking about this earlier, right? Like we get off on talking about real estate, right? We get
Mhm.
off on talking about business, right? There's not everybody's like that. But if you and I are having a conversation, you're going to tell me how you're going to do one thing. And I'm like, oh my God, that's a great idea. Or I'm going to be like, hey, how did you do this? I mean, it's critical. Like I remember one of my very first rehabs went totally sideways. And I was like, what am I going to do? And I just called up my friends and I had like 3 GCs on speed dial. And I would call, like, simply, I'd be like, okay, I installed hardwood floors, right? What do I do now? One guy was like, well, you can't touch it for 24 hours. The other guy goes, well, you got to turn up the air conditioning. The other one's like, turn off the air conditioning. You're like, well, what the fuck do I do? Right. But by talking to different people, I was able to figure out how to finish the project and come out of it on the other side.
Mhm.
And so, like, if I were to give anybody advice, who'd be like, do not work in a silo. Get people around you,
Mm.
get community, get friends, and then get the right
Yeah.
professionals around.
And nobody does it alone. That's what you learn at the highest, and the higher levels you grow in anything, the more you see that you only fit into a small part of it.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
the part you do is just a small little piece in all these little things, all these other things that are happening. It doesn't diminish it in any way, because everybody's part's about the same size, really. Like, it's
right.
just do your little section and do your little section,
Yep.
and and then we all grow. Now, something that's interested, just, question about what you've experienced because of this, the knowledge that you've had. Can you think of a time where one of your customers was like, man, I didn't even think of that? Or clients, I guess is the way you say it. Does that make sense? Just one of those
Oh yeah.
moments where it really clicked for you and
You
for
know,
them.
what I find I did. So I had a lender, a private money lender, come to me, and they had lent money to someone, and the guy just iced them, and they were getting
Mhm.
stiffed. And it wasn't a huge deal, but it was like $150,000, which is a lot of money, right? And so they were trying to get their money back. They couldn't get their money back. And I think what I was able to do, he negotiated a deal. He's like, this is the deal has to be. And I'm like, fine, but I'm drafting your contract, right? And so the way they were going to structure it was that my guy would have to wait for his money for he was going to get a chunk of money and then wait for the rest of it for like 4 or 5 years. And I'm like,
Well,
if that's what he wants to do, that's great. But we're going to write a contract that makes sure that if he screws it up, we're bringing the hammer down on him. And my guy was like, oh, I don't know. I'm not sure. He hesitated. I'm like, listen, let me just draft it. And he goes, well, they need it right now. I'm like, well, we're going to drop it at the closing. And he's like, well, why would you want to do that? I'm like, just trust me. And sure enough, they're ready to close because he was using the money to pay off and release the lien. We dropped the contract. The guy lost his shit. Like, he was like, I'm not signing this. Fuck that. Blah, blah, blah. Go sue me. I'm going to foreclosure. 5 minutes later, he sends out an email to everybody, pay the guy off in full. So what I understood that the borrower's pain points, sure, you want to pay me off in 5 years, but I'll tell you what, I'm going to tie you up so tight that if you blink, I'm coming after everything. And I think that was something that my client wouldn't have thought of and wouldn't have positioned himself. Because he was like, all right, fine, I'll just take whatever I can. All right, I'll take my money, sure. Because he's stuck in the emotional piece and he can't see the strategic way of attacking the case to get to the end goal. So I guess I think in a lot of,
what he thought was a win, you took what he thought was a win and made it boom. You made it clear. And I love that. Yeah, I love that concept because it's like my mentor explains is how to ask a good question. Like, you don't just go right out and ask, you go up, you just get to the edge of it, right? Like when you meet a girl and y'all are hitting it off, you don't just grab her hand, you slide your hand close and see what happens. And then you can tell where you're at. Yep. And just having that option forces someone to think, oh, wait a second, that's not what I want. And I can actually do this, which in the end, that's what your client really wanted, all of their money. And having that ability to think outside the box is powerful, man. Okay. Correct. So to wrap this up, you have an incredible experience and just sounds like life, honestly, going through foreclosure yourself. You've owned businesses, started as a chemist, moved through real estate brokering. Like, you've been in the shoes of your clients. If someone's listening and they want to learn more from you or connect with you in an area that you're in, what's the best way for them to do that?
Absolutely. So we're going to give you all of our social media. You could drop it in the chat. They can reach me. They can call my office. I'll drop my number. It's 312-775-0980. Or you can find us at evlawgroup.com or the foreclosure defense law office.com. We'd love to hear from you. I have a whole team of people that I've operated on to make sure that we service our clients, right? So reach out to us. We'd love to chat.
Excellent. We'll make sure your social media and the information is in the show notes on this. And if you got value from today's episode, thank you for listening. Please like this episode, subscribe to the podcast. Mahmoud, I really appreciate you being here, man. Thanks so much.
Micah, thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Absolutely. We've got more conversations with operators just like Mahmoud who are out there building real businesses in this space. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon. Or we'll see you on the next one.
Take care.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.